There are three columns of erectile tissue in the male. The two corpora cavernosa, and corpora is plural for corpus. The singular form of cavernosa is cavernosum. In this illustration, this is one corpus cavernosum, right in here. And this is the other one. If you take a cross section of the penis, you can see a corpus cavernosum here and another one here. These are the two columns of erectile tissue primarily responsible for erection. The corpora cavernosa begin at these areas here called the crura, or crus for singular. These are in the proximal end of the corpora cavernosa, located within the root of the penis. The third column is the corpus spongiosum. In the cross section, this is the corpus spongiosum, and it surrounds the penile or spongy urethra. Recall that the urethra has three regions: the prostatic urethra going through the prostate, the intermediate urethra or membranous urethra going through the urogenital diaphragm, and the penile or spongy urethra going through the penis. In this illustration here, this is the corpus spongiosum. You can see it on either side. The proximal end begins at the bulb, and the distal end is enlarged to form the glans penis. Erectile tissue consists of vascular sinuses. These are cavities that will fill with blood, causing an erection. The walls of the vascular sinuses are called trabeculae, and they contain smooth muscles. The cavities that fill with the blood of the vascular sinuses are called lacunae. In this cross section of a penis, you can see a corpus cavernosum here and the second corpus cavernosum here. This structure here is the urethra, the penile urethra. Around it, you can see the corpus spongiosum. This is an illustration of the corpus cavernosum. Remember that the corpora cavernosa are the erectile tissue columns primarily involved in erection. The lighter gray structures are the trabeculae, and the darker gray structures are the lacunae. These are veins that drain the erectile tissue, and this is the central artery that feeds the erectile tissue. A flaccid penis is a relaxed penis, and in this case, this is an erect penis, and what I want you to notice is the fact that the central artery is enlarged, the vascular sinus lacunae are enlarged, and the veins are compressed. So I'll talk about those in just a minute. Let's look at what actually happens during an erection. Erection involves a parasympathetic reflex within the sacral region of the spinal cord. Afferent pathways carry sensory information to the sacral region. Efferent pathways, consisting of parasympathetic fibers, carry information to the effectors. The effectors are the smooth muscles in the arteries and arterioles feeding the erectile tissue, as well as the smooth muscles located within the trabeculae vascular sinuses. Neurotransmitters released by the parasympathetic fibers trigger reactions that result in the production of nitric oxide. Nitric oxide goes to smooth muscles and causes them to relax. This results in vasodilation of the arteries and the arterioles feeding the erectile tissue, as well as relaxation of the smooth muscles in the trabeculae of the vascular sinuses. When this occurs, more blood will flow into the vascular sinuses. The lacunae now, due to the relaxed smooth muscles in the trabeculae, can fill with additional blood. This additional blood will compress the veins which empty the erectile tissue, leading to an erection. In addition, the bulbourethral glands, stimulated by parasympathetic fibers during this reflex, will release their secretions. The secretions from the bulbourethral glands are the first secretions to be released. These secretions consist of a mucus that helps cleanse the urethra, increase the pH of the urethra, and provide lubrication during intercourse. After the age of 40, approximately 50% of males experience some form of erectile dysfunction. There are several causes for erectile dysfunction. Viagra is a medication that is used to treat erectile dysfunction. It prevents the breakdown of nitric oxide, allowing it to increase in concentration. Since nitric oxide brings about vasodilation of the blood vessels feeding the erectile tissue and relaxation of the smooth muscles in the trabeculae, this will enhance erection. Viagra will not bring about an erection that would not normally happen in response to sensory stimuli. Let's review what I just talked about. This is the sacral region of the spinal cord. Sensory information which travels by way of the afferent pathway. Remember, this is a reflex, so you have an afferent pathway, a control center, and an efferent pathway. Sensory information traveling by the afferent pathway could be coming from the brain, so it could be visual, mental, smell, or it also could be coming from sensory receptors located in the external genitalia or other parts of the body. The sensory information then is integrated within the sacral region of the spinal cord, and then that information is transmitted along the efferent pathway by way of parasympathetic fibers. And the parasympathetic fibers, remember, are going to cause the release of nitric oxide, which is going to bring about vasodilation of the arteries and arterioles feeding the erectile tissue. Now the erectile tissue is going to fill with blood. The blood can't go anywhere because the veins are compressed within the erectile tissue, and that causes the penis to become erect. In addition, recall that the smooth muscles in the trabeculae will relax, and this will allow the vascular sinuses, the lacunae, to fill with additional blood. And the third E factor will be the bulbourethral glands, which will secrete their secretions into the urethra. Ejaculation is the propulsion of semen from the male duct system. It involves two reflexes. We're going to begin with the sympathetic reflex. The sympathetic reflex occurs within the lumbar region of the spinal cord. Neurotransmitters released by sympathetic fibers cause smooth muscles within the ductus deferens to contract to help propel the semen forward. The seminal glands and prostate gland also contract, releasing their contents into the prostatic urethra. In addition, the internal urethral sphincter will contract. Let's look at this illustration. This is the urinary bladder. Here is the internal urethral sphincter. When it contracts, it closes off the opening here from the urinary bladder into the urethra. These are the external urethral sphincters. And this is the urogenital diaphragm. During ejaculation, you want to make sure that urine is not released into the urethra to become part of the semen. In order to prevent that, the internal urethral sphincter must contract to close off the entrance into the urethra. The second type of reflex is a somatic reflex. Recall that the somatic branch of the nervous system innervates skeletal muscles, and this is the voluntary branch, whereas the autonomic branch of the nervous system consists of parasympathetic and sympathetic fibers, which are involuntary. The presence of semen in the urethra initiates the somatic reflex. The reflex, in turn, then will stimulate the bulbospongiosus muscles of the penis to undergo a rapid series of contractions. This propels the semen out of the urethra. Climax follows, and climax is also known as orgasm. During orgasm, there is a sensation of pleasure, tachycardia, which is increased heart rate, also elevated blood pressure, and muscle contractions. Climax is followed by resolution, when the penis becomes relaxed once again. A relaxed penis is flaccid. This relaxation is due to the contraction of the smooth muscles in the blood vessels that feed the erectile tissue and the trabeculae, resulting in a decrease in blood in the vascular sinuses. Climax or orgasm is followed by a latent period. During this period, the male is not able to achieve an erection.